Hello everyone, welcome back to episode 4 of the ATLAMC Minecraft Survival Let's Play. In the last episode, we took on the dragon and ventured out to the End City Islands to find an elytra. In this episode, we're going to use that elytra for the first time and we're going to make an iron farm. Because I died at the end of the last episode, I've spent a lot of time farming up some new armor and some new gear so that I'm fully ready to take on this iron farm this episode. And I've gotten everything I need to enchant my elytra so that it is fully enchanted. So I'm going to go do that now, and I think it's about time we do our first Elytra Flight. Let's actually just do that right now. We've got our elytra on, and let's go. Alright, I've got my enchanted elytra. Now let's do a real flight and see what this place looks like from above. Alright, it's looking pretty good. I really like the way the watchtower is looking, but there isn't really much else going on. I really do need to get some work done on this Kyoshi settlement area, but today's not that day because we need to get a lot more infrastructure done around here so that we're ready to take on the builds that we want to do. Alright, so I think I gathered everything that I need to make the iron farm and I put it in the shulker box. And I put it in the shulker box because we're not going to make the iron farm here. We're going to make the iron farm here at the spawn base. Now, the reason we're going to build the iron farm at spawn is because iron farms, if they're built within the spawn chunks, which is the 16 chunks around where you spawn, if they are built within those chunks, they will always be running as long as you're in the overworld. You don't have to be near them to have them running, they will always be running, and that's what I want from this farm. I want it to be consistent iron output. Alright, I think I picked out a spot where I want to build the iron farm. I'm going to put it right over here. Just gotta clear out the land a little bit and I'll be right back. So I've cleared out some space over here, so we'll put down our shulker box and get to work. And I made another to-do list, so now I just need to check off. We found a suitable location. Now we need to scaffold up from the ground and scaffold out 4 blocks in opposite directions. By the way, I don't know if I've mentioned it yet, this design is by DocM77. You should go check out his channel. He does a lot of really cool stuff with Minecraft. Alright, next we need to build a Y shape out of temporary blocks. Okay, so now we have our Y shape, and now the next step is to put a solid block in the middle of the Y. This is going to be where the villagers are going to stand, so we'll put it here and all the way over here. Next, we're going to place our beds on top of the temporary blocks. And now we're going to start placing our workstations on the pillows of the back beds. And then place a temporary block and put another workstation on top of that temporary block and put a block on top of it. Next, we want to place a water source where the villagers are going to be standing. Next, we want to place a top half slab at workstation height above the heel of the front bed. So we want it to be at workstation height and we want it to end up above this heel of the front bed. And we can get rid of these two. And we want to place a trapdoor against that slab. Next, we want to put a carpet on top of the slab. The last thing we need to do is create a roof above the villager cells to stop iron golems from being able to spawn on top of these blocks. Make sure to also light the villager cells up. Alright, now your villager cells are complete. Now we need to build the iron golem spawning platforms. So I'm going to come to the center of the scaffolding and put down my cauldron, and then grab my building blocks of choice and go 1, 2, 3, and at this point I'm going to build a 5x5 platform. Next, we need to place fences 1 block out from the platform that the iron golems are going to be standing on. We want to place fences on 3 sides of the platform and fence gates on the other side. Now you can get rid of your temporary blocks, and now you have a completed iron golem spawning platform. You now want to open all the fence gates, and at the end of the farm, when we turn it on, we're going to flood this with water so that the water is flowing in this direction towards the fence gates, and it'll push the iron golems off of the platform. So this is basically what your iron farm is going to look like once you get rid of all the dirt blocks, and then you're going to have to come down here and make a collection area. I've marked out the area where I believe the iron golems are going to be falling, so now I just need to turn that into something that can kill them and collect the drops. So let's dig away a little bit of a hole and put in a lava blade, and let's see how that works. So now I have this hole where the iron golems are going to fall, and then the water is going to push them against this wall. Now I'm going to add hoppers along this line here to collect any drops from them, and then I'm going to add the lava blades. Okay, so I put in place the hoppers and the lava blades, and I created an item elevator. I'm not going to show you how to do that in this video, but that just pushes the item upwards so that I could create a storage system for this farm. Now we really just have to do the most tedious part of this farm, which is getting the villagers in place and getting the zombie in place. Okay, so everything is in place. These 2 villagers aren't where they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be in that water, but I'm just gonna hope that come nighttime they try to sleep in the bed and they end up back in there. I'm gonna reveal the zombie to them now, and it should start spawning iron golems. Okay, so we are getting some iron golems. I just want to see some spawn up here now. And we have some spawns. This is great. Alright, everything seems to be working. I'm gonna let this run for a little bit and see how much iron I can get in about an hour's AFK session. Welcome back. As you could see in that time lapse, once the night ended and it became morning, the farm kind of stopped working, so I've made a few changes. The first change I made is the device that I'm holding my zombie in. Now the zombie's on top of a slab that's on top of a sticky piston that's just pushing him up and down, and that's putting him in the sightlines of the villagers, which is going to make them scared whenever he's up and make them feel at peace whenever he's down. So whenever he's down, they'll be able to sleep in the bed, and them sleeping in the bed is an important mechanic for making iron golems spawn. This piston is just controlled by a hopper clock down here, which just has, I think it's about 40 items passing through it, and once the items switch back and forth, this kind of switches it from on to off and back and forth. And the final change that I made is the actual cells that I'm holding the villagers in. Now, I'm not sure if all of the changes that I made to the villager cells are necessary, but I made them anyways because I didn't like how the one person was standing outside of the water block before, and this fixes that problem. But with this setup, you need to have it so that the zombie pops down so that they're able to sleep in the beds. Another big problem that I'm having with the iron farm is that I actually do need to be in the area for it to run. I've tested out AFKing at Kyoshi Settlement and it hasn't been working. So I'm going to see what I can do about that in between episodes, but I think it's about time that we move on from the iron farm. What do you say? If you have any idea on why the iron farm's not running when I'm at Kyoshi Settlement, please leave some suggestions in the comments below. After spending some time AFKing at the iron farm, I've already gotten 3.5 stacks of iron blocks. That makes me very happy. The iron farm isn't working exactly how I wanted it to, but it's still working very, very well. Now I want to take some of this iron and bring it down to these villagers to trade with. Toolsmiths and weaponsmiths will trade away 1 iron ingot for 1 emerald. You just need to make sure you turn your villagers into zombie villagers and back into villagers, and you'll be able to get that 1 iron ingot for 1 emerald trade. Toolsmiths 100% of the time will give you an iron trade. It's also pretty common with weaponsmiths, and I believe I've seen it sometimes with the armorers, but it's much less likely. Now that I have an abundance of iron, I want to expand this villager area, so I'm thinking the best option would be to dig down. Before I expand, I'm going to need to go out and mine for some gold so I can make more golden apples. In the 1.16 update, the best place to mine for gold is in the nether, so I think we're going to go for another nether expedition, and I think I'm going to try to get some wither skulls while I'm at it. I'm going to leave my elytra and my rockets behind because I'm not prepared to lose my elytra yet. Let's go see what we can find, shall we? Okay, so after spending a short amount of time mining in the nether, I've got 43 gold nether ore and 59 nether quartz ore. Now I'm just going to store the nether quartz ore away for later. And the question we now have is, do we use fortune 3 on the nether gold ore, or do we smelt it? In my opinion, based on previous experience, I find it's actually best to smelt the nether gold ore. Even though using a fortune pickaxe you can get more than just 9 nuggets from 1 piece of nether gold ore, overall you're more likely to yield a higher number of gold from smelting. Alright, now I guess it's time to expand the villager dungeon. Did I say dungeon? So we started expanding downwards and I ran into a cave through here, so I decided to curve back and go down around, and I've just been expanding and making it so that there's enough room to add as many villagers as I see fit. I've decided to go with some dark stripped oak logs in this area to give a secondary color to everything other than the gray. I'm still going to be going through and getting rid of all the diorite and perhaps some of the andesite and maybe spreading it around a little bit better, getting rid of the granite on the ores. So I did some work down in the basement trying to make sure all the walls were nice and textured, and I also moved the villagers that I had from right at the top of the stairs here down here, so I would have all my villagers that I could trade iron with all in one spot. Now I got these 4 new villagers, and I now can confirm the armorers do trade iron. I've also changed up the cells that I'm putting the villagers in to include walls, because this allows me to pick up all the extra EXP that gets stuck behind the walls. And now that I have infinite iron and can trade with all of these villagers to get a lot of experience, this is actually a more efficient experience farm than the zombie farm. So now it's worth it to start putting mending on our tools, because we can actually get enough experience to heal the items now. So now I just need to figure out where I'm going to put the rest of the villager professions. The great thing about Mason villagers is they already trade everything away for 1 emerald, so there isn't a really big benefit to zombifying them unless you really want to trade stone away a lot, but I like to use stone in building, so I want to keep that. Sweet silence. This is where I'm going to end the video for today. In between episodes, I'm going to farm up some resources. I'm going to try to get some wither skulls, and I'm going to see if I can fly around the end and find some extra elytras. If you enjoyed the video, please press the like button and consider subscribing. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.